back to the Crypto Knowledge Alliance. You are tuning in for another installment of Crypto Live. And I am Jimbo, your host for today. I'm just going to wait and see if I'm live. Just bear with me. Excellent. Seems like everything's working fine. So, what's up, guys? Great to have you here today. We're going to do our normal show today where we will have a look at Bitcoin. We're going to have a look at the other altcoin charts, albeit some red charts at the moment, but we will dive in. There's a little bit of green on the market, so we'll go in and see what's occurring there this afternoon. And we'll have a look and see if we can find anything in the crypto world that's pertinent and worth watching today. Let me just jump into the chat box, see if we've got anyone in. If you're here, say hello. Let me know how you're doing. Anything you want to have a look at, just pop it down there in the box and we can get to it. So CYT Crypto, hey Jimbo, just popping in for 5 before I go out, mate. Oh, hi there, Steve. Great to have you join us today, even if it is just briefly. If any of you guys who don't know out there, Steve has a fantastic channel. If you just go into the chat group and click on CYT Crypto there on the first comment, you'll find your way over to his channel. Steve does daily live streams at 8:30, and they are excellent. I highly recommend them. So it's great to have you here, Steve. Kakulukia says, yo. I'm not familiar with that name. That could be Kukla from our group, but I'm not sure. But welcome along to you. Man in Black, BTC is always on the move when Jimbo goes live. Good timing. Yeah, it must be something magic about 6 o'clock. It seems to happen quite often, doesn't it? Welcome along, Man in Black. And Emil, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right there. Emil says hi, welcome along, welcome to the group and to the channel. I see you joined our Telegram group a little while ago. That's great to have you in there. I'm sure that you'll find it useful and insightful. There's some really knowledgeable people in there sharing their views, and it's a respectful, safe place to chat. So yeah, I hope you enjoy joining, guys. Before I jump into things, let's just do the normal disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I giving financial advice. This is just me calling the market as I see it. Remember that crypto investing is highly speculative, and you should always do your own research before entering any speculative investment. Jamie Garazzo says, Jimbo, finally caught you live. Oh, it's great to have you here, Jamie. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, guys, if you guys have got anything that you want to have a look at, any chart requests or any news stories that you want to highlight or bring to my attention, pop them down there in the chat group, and we will get to them as we get through. First of all, I think it's good to start in the same format. So let's dive into Bitcoin and draw the chart out a little bit further. I was a bit zoomed in there. Now, a lot of these lines, obviously, we don't have to worry about so much anymore. They're older. We can see that we can probably remove that and that for the time being. And I'd go as far as saying we can get rid of that for now as well. I'll probably leave everything else on there for the time being, just for my own attention to pull me back to these patterns I'm looking at. I'm also keeping an eye on this potential inverted head and shoulders here, but we'll draw that on as we go. Okay, so yeah, we were drawing this formation out. We had this support box that was touched quite nicely, area that we'd highlighted for potential support. And now basically we've been fiddling our way through these support resistance lines that we had drawn in from the previous video. And as you can see, they've acted pretty significantly as we thought that they would do. You're never going to get your lines perfectly, but you can see that this line here worked pretty well as support once we broke through. And then again here, not perfect range, but you can see that we've had activity around this high volume node. So, super interested to see that the lines are playing out. As stated previously, for this to be a clear continuation of our current uptrend, we really want to see for me personally, I'd like to see us get a new high on this wave above the 13,860, which is our previous high from back in June. I'd like to see us breach that. We do have a potential inverted head and shoulders here, which may have already played out, but we can pop this in something like this, and then you would have your right shoulder here, and it would join up about there. And as you can see, we've got the green boxes. It's pretty neat. Of course, we would be looking for our target is the length of the head, and you can see here. I hope my line doesn't automatically adjust size again. I've been trying to change the settings, but let's have a look. Yeah, no, that looks a bit better. So if we had the breakout target would be put us just above the 13,860. So it's not completely potentially beyond the realms of possibility that we might go and test this off the break of this if this inverted head and shoulders does play out as we would expect. Of course, we will just have to wait and see. But you know, with this breakout and we've seen these resistance areas be broken through, I'd say it's pretty nice bullish momentum at the moment. And not completely beyond the realms of possibility to see us reach this target. Remember, guys, as I always say on here, these targets are just targets. And any trader who tells you they buy the bottom and sell the top is essentially lying, because you're never always going to hit. Well, not lying. They might just be the best trader in the world, but you're just looking for the gaps in between. You know, you want to, you know, if you bought on this movement, if you bought here and you sold here, you've still made a profit. You know, you kind of have to separate yourself from the rest of the noise and just trade in the gaps that you trade in. But anyway, that aside, what I'm getting at is that I usually use my target lines and sort of say 75% is a realistic sort of zone to aim for, because at least then, even if it does come up short of the final target, you've given yourself a fair chance at hitting where it gets to. So I think 75% would take us to about 13.4, maybe 13.3, maybe even this. You see, we've got this candle here that acted as resistance. We went back up, so that's at 13.3. So I think it's fair we can put that line in place now. Maybe we'll color that. We'll color this line green, and then in the next video, of course, we can check that again and see how it's playing out. So we differentiate it from what we'd already has as our support and resistances, and we can see how this line plays out. Yeah, we'll leave that in there and see what it does. Okay, so yeah, like I said, nice bullish looking chart at the moment. Nice to see it break out of this pattern upwards. Covered that we need to see another high on the wave, ideally to continue the upwards momentum. Oh, sorry. For the time being. So we will have to watch how that plays out. Now, here on the daily, I'm going to take this off at the moment because it's just a little bit of noise that we don't really need, and we can get rid of that as well. Daily, again, looking really nice. You can see that this triangle formation that had the inverted head and shoulders within it has clearly broken up to the upside, which is really nice. Target set on that might be slightly higher, but I'm going to go for the inverted head and shoulders target for now. I think it seems like a better play. And we have seen a little bit of a rejection wick form today on the one-day chart. And that was obviously because we saw that run up earlier on to about 12.8, as in the title. So we've pulled back a little bit now to 12.5, but still 2% up on the day. I think there's a good chance that we're going to see a continuation tomorrow bullish. I'm certainly keeping my eye tightly on this potential positive cross here on the TDI. As if you've been watching the videos before, we trade the TDI as a buy signal with the static 50, which is this line that I'm showing here. If the lagging 50, which is the yellow line, is above the static 50, then you're in your buy zone. And then obviously we're looking for these positive crosses, and we're very close to potentially seeing a very nice buy signal. We've already had the green cross the red, but if we can have the green cross the yellow and potentially pull the red across the yellow as well, like similarly we saw here, we saw the green cross. Obviously the green would have crossed first and it stayed above, and then the red was pulled up above as well, and you can see that that corresponds with us breaking through this area of resistance and then pushing on. So something really nice developing there on the TDI, but we will just have to keep an eye on it and see where it goes. I'm just going to jump back over to the chat box and see if we've got anything going on in there. Debbie Claydon, hi Jim, I've got you on the big TV. Oh, brilliant. Welcome along, Debbie. Great to have you here. I'd have it at least at only 20% volume. I can't imagine it's great hearing my voice through those speakers, but it's great to hear that you've tuned in. Man in Black, Flexer just got listed on Bittrex. Wow, yeah, Flexer got listed on Bittrex. Yeah, just replete. Welcome along, by the way. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, wow. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, I hate this thing. This Coin Trader Pro is so such a slow to respond for the chart, so we might not actually see any. Oh, wow. I've just seen your next comment there, Man in Black. Flexer International coming in 1 month Android app released. Oh, that is absolutely excellent news for Flexer. I've seen that they've obviously been rolling stuff out in America, but if we're going to see it now go international, guys, if you're new to the channel, new to the streams, we've been watching Flexer for some time now. Project I personally have high amount of interest in. And for full disclosure, as always, guys, I must tell you that I do hold this. I don't want you thinking I'm just mindlessly shilling. So I hold it. Do your own research on the project. Don't buy because you heard me mention it. Go and learn about it. But As you can see, Flex are up 22.9% of the day and beginning to spike. I wonder if that news hasn't quite yet just hit the price, and we might see even more gains from this, guys. Keep an eye on this. This could make Flexer go even more parabolic than it currently is. You can see there on the 14-day price chart against USD. We've had a nice run up, but of course, we have had Bitcoin movement in that time as well. So it's always better to look at it against Bitcoin. And if we flip over here to the 4-hour chart, you can see that's quite a nice bullish movement we've seen ever since the beginning of July. It really did bounce and take off. Excellent to see. But again, that does correspond with them going live in America and starting doing that, and all the talk about Litecoin joining the platform, etc., etc. So there's interesting things going on. And now being listed on Bittrex could see a big spike in volume. So it'd be excellent to see that. Man in Black, they said in one country to start, but not sure which one. They said they already have retails lined up. They just posted on Twitter 3 minutes ago. Wow. Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for sharing that in here. Catching the news live as always, guys. That's why I'm trying to lean more towards doing the live stuff so that we can discuss these pertinent issues and exciting situations together as they come live. So thank you very much for sharing that. I wonder if we're going to see this news. And guys, I would say if you're not in this project yet, obviously, of course, do your own research. But as you can see, we are this zone here. I'd probably draw a box rather than a line for this if I was analyzing it deeply. But as you can see, this area has acted as support, resistance, 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 resistance. Now we're retesting it and seem to be above it or roundabout in the area. So perhaps we're about to see Flexacoin break up and go and retest this higher area. Now, of course, this area here, again, if you're not aware of the project at Consensus, they had a very good show there at Consensus, and they introduced the world to what their project could do. And as you can see, volume and price had an absolute run up. And then we came back to previous lows, and now we are breaking out again. So really interesting stuff. Nice development there for Flexer. I imagine that will see volume increase significantly. Guys, if you've got any charts or anything that you want to look at, please, of course, pop them down in the chat box for us. I appreciate that today might be a bit of a quieter day with the red on the market, but if you do have anything that you want to have a look at, just go ahead and chuck it in there. In the meantime, I'm just going to cover a couple of the more popular alts. So first, we'll have a look at Chainlink. Which is down 10% on the day. You know what they say about blood on the streets with good potentially good investments. I'm breaking back into that previous widening range here. Let's remove this now. Don't need this in here. And that can go as well because that's no longer pertinent. That was for a different time frame. Yeah, so we've broken back into this widening range. Got a nice potential support line showing itself here. We'll have to see how this plays out. Formed resistance on several occasions, and as you can see with this potential support and resistance line, guys, we tested it here as resistance, tested it again and had the wick close below, the body closed below, and when the next day when we opened up and we saw a green day, that was when we saw this big price explosion. So I would say this is a really interesting place to be watching Chainlink right now at 245. Let's see how the rest of the day plays out. Not liking this crossover here on the Silver Room TDI, but we're yet to have it in what we would consider the sell or short range. So, you know, it's not the worst. This isn't the worst conditions of this indicator. But again, you know, it is at the moment pointing down. We would want to see it form a bounce pretty quickly before it starts to drag this yellow line, this lagging 50, before that starts getting dragged below the static 50, which is here. So ideally, we want to see this pop up and bounce again to continue for the upwards momentum. I want to see this line here hold at the moment. It's doing that. This is obviously on the 1 day. Let's go into a little bit of a finer time zone and see if we can see anything more. Well, we are actually seeing the pincer. Thought there we were starting to see it, but maybe not. I'll have to keep an eye on this in the 4-hour time frame. We've got almost 3 hours left of this candle, so it's only just forming. Currently looking like a reversal doji, but yet to be confirmed. We've got a long time left of this candle. Could go either way. But if we were to stay above this support line and see some green candles, I have no reason to believe that we won't see Chainlink go and retest the the resistance line of this broadening channel that we did see develop previously. Of course, now we've broken down through the support, we are going to have to retest it again and have to break it significantly to push back up further. Sorry, bear with me, just have a bit of my water. But yeah, so as you can see, guys, lots of red on the street here today. There are, of course, always some that perform well, and we've seen Ren bounce really strongly here on the 4-hour chart, seeing a nice potential cross there on the TDI. I'd want to see the price get above the 50 EMA and hold. That is just something that I like to see. It seems to be a reasonably bullish signal when they hold above the 50 EMA. Not the most common EMA used for this sort of signaling in normal charting analysis for something like FX or something like that. People tend to use the 200 moving average and things like that. But I myself and other people have found it quite useful for spotting a bearable trend for a altcoin and for Bitcoin itself. So let's see if it can get above and support there. I wouldn't be entering at this point, of course, at 16% up on the day. But the next couple of candles are really going to show you if this is going to continue to move up or if it's going to reject off the 50 EMA. Walton Chain has had a really good spike on the day again off this big bounce. And again, guys, if you're looking for supports and resistances, you look at this one. We're talking about how these ones that play a lot, again, it doesn't always have to be a perfect line. Sometimes you can draw the zone, but you can see here that we had this line here form as a resistance. We broke up. We've seen a couple of days of high volume around this node, and then seen it act as support on the springboard. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if there were a lot of people waiting to make this trade and did this trade. If I had seen this chart, I would have been looking possibly to take this trade as well, because you've seen this 4-hour doji close and then another green. I mean, this is just a lovely setup, seeing a red doji, green doji, red doji, but all staying above your support. And then, as you can see, it just exploded. Very nice, and congratulations if you are holding Walton at the moment. Z Classic again looking quite nice on the daily, having an 18% increase. This is on Bittrex though. I'm not a big fan of Bittrex charts. They're a bit too jumpy. Should probably just have this watch list as Binance only, but it's difficult because not all of the projects are on there, so you can't. But this is what I mean about, for example, Bitfinex. I mean, look at these charts. I guess it's just that the spread on these projects is so wide from between the buy and the sell, the ask and sell. So yeah, I guess that's what it would be. But you end up with these really difficult to read candles. Yeah, okay. So, right, let's go off these. Guys, if you've got any more major alts that you want to have a look at, let me know. Do pop them down there in the chat. I think it's updating. I haven't seen anything else come through. Let me know if it's working okay, guys. In the meantime, I am going to go over, and I did say that I would have a look. So we've had a look at Flexicoin, saying that there's a good possibility that we're going to see, especially with this news now regarding Bittrex, which should help to drive volume, and the potential of us seeing this resistance line flipped to support line. Could see Flexer have some really nice gains potentially in the coming days and weeks. Yeah, and obviously, the utility of this coin is only just starting. It's super early on for Flexer. Be interesting to see if that support on the RSI holds. The break of that may see us come down and retrace. And of course, you can overlay something like, you might go for your Fibonacci retracement tool, and you're going to come from your bottom to your top. And again, this is only if we do see on the 4-hour this RSI line break. You might place a sale, or if it was myself, I might place a sale. And then I would look to possibly enter on one of the fibs, see how far it drops, and enter on one of the fib retracements. Dom One Delanuch, Dominic 1974. Hey there, first time catching your YouTube show. Welcome along, Dominic. Great to have you here, mate. Thank you for tuning in. If you do have any requests or anything you want to look at, slap it down there in the chat, and I'll do my best to get to it. But yeah, so anyway, guys, looking really good for Flexer at the moment. But of course, it's on a run up, so be careful if you do choose that it's a coin that you want to enter. Make sure to choose your entry point carefully. Don't always buy at the top of a spike, because chasing green candles can be dangerous, and there is very often a better price to enter, in my opinion. There was another coin I wanted to look at on the smaller market caps today. Um, let's have a quick look at Lending Block, which we briefly touched on in the last video. And it's interesting to see that conversation we did have has driven a few more people's interest in the project, potentially, or at least highlighted the project for them if they hadn't previously seen or heard of it. Price is currently coming down at the moment, as long as charts.cointrader Pro is live. But we're still nicely settled above that 50 EMA, so it'd be interesting to see if that holds for us here. I'm extremely personally, fundamentally bullish on this project. I think that they have lots of things up their sleeve that could make them a very big contender for the space in the future, in regards to how they handle institutions. Of course, don't just be swung by my personal opinion. Go and have a look, go and research the project. I highly recommend you have a look at this one, guys. But again, unless that 50 EMA holds us support, we could see a lower buying price. And what we've got to remember, guys, is it's kind of part of the title of this video. So I'm going to tangent here a little bit, so bear with me, right? But the title of the video is one of the things is why is this bull market different? And what I want to sort of put out there, and this could be wrong, and we may see it develop different as time rolls onwards. But I think that the investor not intelligence levels, but savviness, awareness, in your general crypto enthusiast is developing. I think that during the 2017 bull market, you could virtually make money on anything. You could virtually make money on anything because it was all pouring in. No one knew anything about the tech particularly. There were potentially some people, in the last previous bull runs that had good knowledge, some that had very little knowledge, and some people who were investing just to make a quick buck. And because of that, they just plowed into everything. And you had coins like Trump Coin doing, 3-digit % gains in a day, which is just unbelievable, right? It's unheard of. But yet we're yet to see that BTC growth in the alts yet. And of course, we're still seeing Bitcoin dominance high. I'm not sure it's quite as high as it was. Oh no, it's still at 64.2%. So the Bitcoin dominance is still relatively high. Now, my question would be, and I pose this to you guys, I'd love to know your opinion on this, because I have my own view, but I'd rather pose it to you guys first, right? Are we not seeing the alt pump in BTC value because Bitcoin dominance is still remaining very, very high? Or is it because the majority of the investors now, or the people in the space, are aware of Bitcoin's superiority, slash, they understand that not all of these coins have utility? I'm going to put that to you guys, because I personally believe that a lot of these projects, even some of these ones in the top 100, are simply going to cease to exist in the future. I don't think that they have enough utility to secure them sensibly, but that, I could be wrong, but that's my opinion on it. Now, projects like Engine Coin, and most recently Dent. I mean, this has died today, which is a real shame, because the news yesterday about them being adopted by Samsung S10 is really great. On the flip side of that, you've just had Cosme, who we've been watching in this show, turn around and say that they actually are not going to be on Samsung now. So, perhaps this, maybe it's fluidity. Maybe Samsung are saying, oh, we'll trial and error with these dApps and see what we like, and we'll remove and add when we like. Perhaps that's what it is. Perhaps Dent maybe isn't so secured on the Samsung future. Now we've heard that Cosm's not going to be. But this is frequent new news. But projects like Dent and Engine Coins, and the ones that are doing their job, Walton Chain, who are implementing their technology, who have an actual utility case, who are working towards solving a problem uniquely. They are the projects that I think are going to be here one day. And again, like I said, the flip side of that is there are going to be lots of projects that aren't going to be here anymore. And I wonder if that's affecting this bull run and is actually having a physical impact on the amount that people are willing to risk in altcoins in this bull run. People know Bitcoin. People know that Bitcoin is a strong asset. People trust Bitcoin. They just generally trust Bitcoin. Maybe that's why we're seeing more people happy to sit in Bitcoin and ride the wave on this one. Fair enough. But let's see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see how, if within the next couple of years, which could be the length of this next bull cycle, and that puts into perspective where we are in the Bitcoin price for me. These bull markets last sort of 2 years, sometimes 3 years, right? It's a 4 year cycle from what I can see between bull and bear swing. So we are really early on. Even at the stretch, you could say we're 7 or 8 months into this bull market. Um, but even at 7 or 8 weeks in, there's still plenty of time to go. So where does this one end? I mean, it could be mammoth, right? It could be absolutely USD coin. I was going to say I saw this right for. Geez, if anyone. Oh no, that is just this run up. It just see, this is what I'm saying, guys, right? 7 months into the bull market, and look, I mean, look at this. This is just that fraction of bull market. It's absolutely huge, but we're still early on in. We're still early on this particular part of the bull cycle. So, yes, we are going to see with almost in fact, with an absolute level of certainty, I can say that we are going to see falls of 30%. We are going to see falls, big drops in price again. But that isn't always just complete panic because it's just the way that a market moves. Now, do I think that we're going to see it happen at the top of this? As I said, this all depends on if we see a higher high set or if we get rejected at a low. Because at the moment it's showing good momentum, but I really want to see us go and set a new high before we're likely to see another big retrace. And we have to factor in here, guys. Although this looks super bullish, and it is, um, let's not forget that there actually is hidden within this mess a 30% decrease in price. So there has already been a large retrace. This is a bull market retrace. That's what you're seeing here, in my opinion. And at the moment, it's holding pretty well. This support that we saw develop as we were running up. See this white line here that I have highlighted, this one here. You can see that, this was sort of our angle of trajectory for our bull market. This was done on a lower time frame, but it was our angle of support. And you can see that we've dipped below it with wicks, but no candles closing below it. So we are still within that level of momentum. And we could even see this. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm looking for angular acceleration here, guys. Angular acceleration. So, you know, we put in the steepness of these gradients, you can see that with each passing line, we're getting steeper and steeper and steeper. Now that that's a very nice sign, but ideally we want to see it set a new high, because setting a new high would pretty much completely remove the significance of these drop candles. I think you guys get the point of what I'm saying here. Let's look for that new high. Let's watch our green potential resistance line there at 13.4 and see how 13.38 and see how that develops for the next video. Just check and see if anyone else has popped anything in. Nothing else in the chat room, right? Guys, if you are watching live now, if you could do me a massive favor and slap a like on the video and subscribe if you're not subscribed. That'd be absolutely excellent. That's going to help the channel get a bit more noticed, and hopefully, we'll start being able to widen the audiences. I must admit, I actually quite enjoy doing the videos, even, the live streams, even with just a few people in. I find that it's quite a nice dynamic that we have here. I hope you guys agree. We can bounce ideas off each other. And, one thing I will say is I think if there were too many people watching live, we might lose a little bit of that personal touch. But we'll see how it develops, right? But anyway, if you guys give us a like and a subscribe, that's going to help drive more people to us. So let's quickly have a jump onto the Cointelegraph. Man in Black, I think I missed you covering this last stream, but do you think the bottom is in for Eng? Okay, well, let's quickly jump over and have a look at Eng before we come back to the news. Let's stay on the charts for now. We'll go over to Eng Bitcoin. So, this is just Eng can be a real pain, can't it, guys? That has broken at the moment, mate. That has broken. However, we have seen our support gradient broke, but we haven't seen this line broken yet. And actually, it could very easily be forming a double bottom pattern, but we really do want to see this bounce reasonably soon. Man in Black, what I will be watching for will be this 930-ish zone because I think if we were to break below this with any momentum, we're going to see another large sell-off. That being said, you can see that there is some buying pressure on the market book at the moment, but you know, you can only take that with a pinch of salt. And guys, these indicators here on TradingView, just don't pay any attention to what they say, essentially, you know, because it's not you know, if there was one indicator that just showed you 5 boxes and told you to buy or sell, and it was that simple, then everyone in the world who traded would be multimillionaires. You know, so. But anyway, Men in Black, I'd be watching this line here, looking to see Engine stay above that because a break below could see a further sell-off. Just out of curiosity, I mean, you can see this line is so significant. You know, it's not playing perfect. Look at how high this volume node is. There's so much going on in this zone. So it wouldn't surprise me to see this hold. But if we were to break, I would put, let's go for a box for this one because I find it really useful when you have this much volume in a tight zone. If it was to break, I would be looking to put buys in this area, personally. Knowing that if this bottom line broke at 7.2, I mean, God, it seems like a mile away, doesn't it? But if it was to break down at 7.2, then your very bottom that you're looking to hold here is down here at 500 Satoshi. So touch wood, we're going to see this support hold, but I would definitely keep an eye on that support because if it breaks, could see further sell off. And of course, if you are holding and you sell and you buy back in, you know, you can not, of course, not financial advice, but you can earn more than one ways in a market, and selling and rebuying is one of those methods. Dominic 1974. I think the market is becoming dynamic and evolving with the times. It's ever changing with public opinion. Plus, the alts dying every time over the months is making a lot more Bitcoin purists. Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying there, Dominic. Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of people who would have entered this market again with very little understanding of the technology. And I'm not claiming to be some expert in the technology, guys. What I'm saying is now I'm doing my research and digging deeper. I understand there are still people in this market, I believe, who have got Binance and they don't really even know what they're buying and selling. They're just dipping in and out, right? And I think those people will have made these, you know, 10, 15, 20% losses a day. We've all seen them on the altcoin markets. It happens. And if you're not vigilant with your stop losses, it's so easy to get drawn into a loss, which is really ugly. And again, if you sell at the bottom, then you've locked in the loss, haven't you? And I think a lot of people will have been wrecked by that. And I think you're right. Bitcoin purists, again, you know, I have to put my position on the table. I wouldn't consider myself a absolute Bitcoin purist, but I do believe that Bitcoin will replace the need for almost all of the altcoins. I say almost all because I don't believe that it will replace all of them immediately. And this is a progressive change as well because Bitcoin cannot have smart contract implementation tomorrow. It's just not that quick. But it will have in my opinion, I think it will have smart contract implementation because Bitcoin is consensus driven. They decide what to add based on the need and use case for it. So if all of a sudden smart contracts become an underpinning of the society, why wouldn't the Bitcoin teams? Why wouldn't they want to adapt this onto the blockchain? If they can, they will. And that goes for the same for all the scaling and Lightning. And you're seeing all these little adaptations. And I think that there are projects that are going to establish themselves so well and become such a foundation of the blockchain space that Bitcoin isn't just going to be able to gobble them up immediately. But that doesn't mean that it might not happen at some point. So super interesting to keep your eye on that. But yeah, I do completely understand and appreciate your point there, Dominic. I think you're onto something. Jamie Garzaro says done. Thank you very much, Jamie. I appreciate that. I imagine you're saying that you've given the video a like or subscribed or whatever it is, but that's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so there was, let's just quickly, I just want to have a look at this and see if we've had any more. So it's actually come down a bit. So we haven't seen that peak pass, but I really anticipate this to really kick into gear. It may, again, this isn't something where it might just list and all of a sudden there's tons of volume, because that's just not how new exchange listing work, unless it's, super highly followed. But this will at least bring the project to more people's attention, and again, actively increases the volume that it's going to be able to attract. Dominic 977, but we all still love the alts, me as well. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, same. And I love the alts. It's like when I do my first watch list in the morning, it's like being in a, what's the way to describe this? A fairground. You're looking around at all the charts, and this is a really literal way for me to describe how it feels for me when I'm looking at my watch list. And it's like looking at roller coaster rides. You see these big ups and these big downs, and it's almost that thrill of, which ride am I gonna do today? The Big Dipper. That's it. That seems to be the ride that the alts are on at the moment, right? The Big Dipper. Yeah, I would make some more terrible roller coaster based puns, but I won't. It's painful for us all. Laurie Dunn, I'm in. Oh, excellent. Welcome along, Laurie. I'm not sure if I've seen you here before, so welcome along. Glad you have joined the stream and the channel. I hope you find the content useful, and I hope it drives you to do, your own research into some of these projects that we look at, and into some of the technical analysis techniques that I use. Guys, I just want to highlight very quickly. We do have, I do have a little announcement to make, and that is that next Tuesday, I am going on holiday. I think I briefly mentioned this in the last video, but I just want to let you guys know I'm going away on next Tuesday, and I won't be back in the country for 11 days. So I will get another stream in this week, if not two, if I'm well prepared enough with my holiday preparations. But I won't be back until the Saturday, the 27th. So I'll try and get some content to you guys on the 27th or the 28th. Otherwise, we'll start as usual on the week of the 29th. But that's just to make sure you guys are aware. I haven't loved you and leaved you. I'm going to continue to be as active as possible within the Telegram communities. And guys, if you're here and you're not part of the Telegram group, the link's in the description. And if you haven't got Telegram, it's a simple messaging app. It's nothing malicious or dangerous. It's actually very useful and very effective. Yeah, you can just download that onto your phone, similar to WhatsApp. You click the link in the description, and then you can come and join our chat. I think we are actually approaching 150 members in there, and that is so cool for me, because we only started that channel, that Telegram group, back in February, and the drive wasn't really to boost to grow as fast as possible. That wasn't really what I was aiming to do. What I wanted to do was attract and obtain people with high levels of knowledge, and who actually add different perspectives to our group. And I think the people that are in there will agree that is what we've achieved. And we have some really useful inputs. We've got traders, investors, CEOs, YouTubers. We've got lots of people in there with varying perspectives, and I think that adds to our ability to assess projects and situations together. And actually, I will say the group itself is developing me every day, because the people in there are pushing me to be better and better and better. So if you're not in there, come and get involved. It's awesome. Laurie says, "Oh crap! Just saw the listing of FCX. Thanks, Jimbo. Oh, you're mighty welcome. It's great to have you here, man in black. No a-holes allowed. Yeah, I will warn you guys. I am pretty strict myself and the admins. I've got Rahul, Matt, and Kukla are my super A team of admins, and they are excellent in the group. They make sure everything ticks over smoothly whilst I'm not there. Yeah, but we are vigilant, and but there's no need to be too bad, because like Man in Black says, we haven't really had any significant issues in there at all. Everyone's very respectful of each other's opinions, and again, that just adds a little bit extra to the group. You can see here on the right hand side of my screen the Telegram thing just popping off. That's that's constant. That's constant, but I like it. I like it. So what I will do is I am going to quickly jump over to the Cointelegraph page, and we'll have a look and see which news stories grab our attention. Again, guys, I won't do too much longer, probably wrap up in about 5 or 10 minutes. But if you do have any more charting requests that you want to get in before the end, let me know. Sorry about the things that keep popping up down here. I have really, well, I tried to keep my security on my PC really tight, but I don't allow any changes from any external folders. But there are folders within the computer that want to change themselves. So I always get these pop-ups saying, you know, unauthorized. Do you authorize this change? Yeah, okay, it's all right. Why is scalability so important for blockchain solutions? I think we know the answer to that question, but that could be an interesting read for anyone out there who doesn't know the answer to that. If any of you want an example of why this is so important, go and do your readings about CryptoKitties and have a look about how long the Ether block transaction time was at that period, compared to, for example, now, where it's pretty much not instant, but you know, you try and send some Ethereum, it's only going to take you a couple, you know, maximum, even with slowest gas payment fees, you're only going to talk an hour or so at the moment. But that wasn't the case at the height of the CryptoKitties phase. Scientist minds Bitcoin on computer model used by Apollo missions. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think the amount of computer power that suggests it's using is very much, because actually it wasn't very huge amount of computing power used for the Apollo missions. Certainly not in comparison to what we have today. So we did put this out in the group earlier when it was dropped. Blockchain startup Solve.care partners with Uber to transport patients. Now, I did have a look into this, and I saw that the guys were talking in the chat group about it potentially being some sort of API or something like that. This seems to suggest that it's going to be partnered with Uber Health to transport patients. So that's really interesting. And again, I think this is again a slightly off topic, but Uber is a great example of what's happening, in my opinion, to the whole world in this potentially this fourth industrial revolution. Not just the gig economy, but you've got this development of networks becoming potentially the big players in the space rather than these centralized authorities. And although that Uber does have a centralized office and stuff like that, it's a network of drivers across the planet rather than being individual taxi firms. And of course, that really harmed the taxi firms, but the drivers, you know, so rights change, things change, but instead of having a large individual companies, you're getting these networks developing. And I think another great example of that is what EDF Energy are doing, and companies like that. You go and learn about those guys, and what you'll find is that the big companies in Europe now aren't the ones making all the power. I mean, the new power, the larger percentage of new power being created at the moment is by small networks. Now, EDF and some of the larger companies have noticed this and said, well, actually, to future proof ourselves, maybe we become a company that manages and helps to run these networks rather than be in direct competition of them. So interesting to see these big companies that are developing and growing out of, very quickly, because they're doing things a little bit differently. My 300 payment methods integrating large crypto exchange. It's quite interesting if you're looking to spend your crypto. I am not at the moment personally. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust outperforming indexes in first half of 2019. Well, that's not a surprise to any of us who are watching this video, is it? We know just how much better Bitcoin is, and you know, for those traditional investors, Grayscale is a good entry into it. To be able to enjoy the volatility without actually having exposure to Bitcoin. Crypto-friendly regulation can help UK Brexit, says $10 billion advisory giant. That'd be interesting to see what they have to say there, and to see if they integrate the idea of perhaps the UK creating its own cryptocurrency. If you guys haven't seen, China today have announced, well, potentially it's being discussed that their development on a centralized Chinese cryptocurrency has been sped up by the announcement for Facebook from Libra. And whether the two are actually connected, I'm not 100% sure, but you can see why someone would write that into a story. It makes for good reading, and there is obviously somewhat of a connection between the two. Just jump onto the chat, see if anyone's got any more comments. PJ, welcome along, PJ Tibet. Welcome along. Great to have you here, mate. Could you look at Matic? Cheers. Yeah, we can have a look at Matic. Let's jump back over. One of CZM Binance's initial exchange offering tokens, Matic Network, building a nice solution on the Ethereum for the Ethereum platform for increasing transactions per second. And there are some other changes that escape me off the top of my head. Daily chart not looking very nice unless we see this line act as significant support. That is the one thing that I would keep my eye peeled on if I was looking for entry. Now, I'm not seeing anything nice here on the TDI. This is all pointing down. But of course, we've got limited data on the TDI just because it's only been running since May. And obviously, this is a lagging 50. So you need to have 50 candles before you can start to see it form. So that's why we've got it now. But at the moment, we're pointing down. We need this line to hold. If this line doesn't hold, then we're going to see a bigger sell-off. And we could what line was that at? 118. That's at 118. So not even that far away. Break that line at 118, and I see potential test of the 100 Satoshi zone. But of course, we start macro and then we go on to a smaller time frame to see if we're looking at a particular entry point. Now, the 4-hour chart, you can see that same pattern, of course, just a little bit more exaggerated by the candles. The 4-hour chart again isn't really showing us from my personal perspective. Of course, PJ, this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to stop you taking a trading position because I can't tell you what to buy or sell or do anything like that. I'm just giving my opinion on the chart. But at the moment, I'm not seeing anything particularly bullish that would really attract me based on my risk. Sorry, I've lost my trail of thought. But based on my risk exposure, I wouldn't be looking to enter just yet. I'd be wanting to see if this line here holds a support. If we saw a nice bounce, or I started to see some of these indicators turn on, for example, the 1 hour. See, look, I mean, here on the 1 hour, we do, like I said, you're seeing these little turns. You've got the lines above the lagging 50 now, so which is nice, but again, it's not ideal. Still not showing me enough that would immediately make me want to jump in. That being said, of course, I actively watch the charts for these entry positions. But just get this 4-hour chart up, PJ. Maybe draw yourself this support line on and wait for it to act off there. Because again, remember that from my perspective, this is my perspective. The goal isn't to achieve all of the rise. So why try and catch a falling knife here? What we want is ideally we want to trade in the positive gap. So I would personally wait for a sign of the reversal of this support and then buy in. Yeah, you might miss out on say like 5%, but I mean this even if you just bought above here, 129, you see my point though, right? Look at this run. Just because you saw this coming in, you wouldn't have bought here. You might have bought once you saw this rise, and yeah, you might have missed out on the 5% gain between there and there, but there was plenty more to come. So what I'm saying is, don't always dive in when you have a maybe in your head. Just always remember that's part of the trade. Or, of course, alternatively, if I were to enter this position, then something I might do to try and reduce risk would be to just drop my stop loss right below it. Just give it enough space for a wick to potentially drop down there and bounce. But you could enter and just put a stop loss in nice and tight, just in case that support line does drop. Now, there was one other thing that I want to bring to your attention today, guys, before I sign off. PJ, it's a bit valuable info. Thanks, bud. Yeah, well, I hope it's useful. It's just me giving you my overview, and just trying to share that attitude of due diligence and research, which leads certainly for myself for more positive than results. But let us have a quick look at. Oh, that doesn't bode well. I hope you guys aren't getting a too laggy connection. If anyone, can you guys let me know what the stream's been like in the chat box there? Because I'm seeing my internet lagging a little bit, and I hope that's not coming through on the stream. If you guys could just let me know. Wow, I mean, look at this. 22 million market cap, 71 million 24-hour trading volume. This is really high on volume. Origo, full transparency, I entered this project, took a small position in this project, very small. Wish I'd have gone for more, but that's why it was risk to reward. So you put a small amount in for something that might pop. And I think it was around the 12 million market cap at the time. It could have been a little bit lower. It's within the last week or so. But anyway, regardless of where I entered, took a position in this, and we've seen a huge run up over the last month, up, saying 15 to 7.9%, but it is certainly the last 2 weeks up 363%. Now, I am quite intrigued by this project, guys. I'd come and do your own research on this. I've got to do more of a deep dive. It's only me casting my eyes over it from the original position that I took, and then the research that I've done subsequently based on that. But it's really interesting what they're trying to achieve. The privacy preserving platform for decentralized application. Now, we've seen lots of privacy coins and all this, that, and the other, and we've seen it, and this may turn out to be no different. But what they're actually, what they're going for is essentially different. I would play this video, but I'm not sure if the 1 second. Let me just see if the volume on this works for you guys. You're going to hear me double for a second. If it does, it'll play. Otherwise, I'll just leave it. Oh, sorry. So no, the volume's not working. Apologise, guys. I'll have to sort that out. Not some things that I'm not just quite used to doing on the technical side of things yet, but I'll get to that. But come and have a look at this video. Have a look into this project. You might find it really interesting. Basically, they want to add the privacy layer into the use of decentralized applications, as well as this privacy preserving smart contract. And the idea of having private, areas potentially within a smart contract that are allowed to be private is really interesting to me, because whilst I don't think there's a massive future for pure privacy, 100% privacy based tokens, I do see there being quite a good deal of benefit to having aspects of privacy. And like, for example, I've seen some of the other projects discuss about how you may want a transaction to show as private or to show as public. You might not mind someone seeing that you bought potatoes, carrots, and some beans down at the Tesco's. Other shops other supermarket brands are available, of course, but you might not mind someone seeing that. But then there might be other purchases or transfers. For example, you're transferring your husband or wife or family member some money. You might not want that to be open ledger viewable, or certainly you might not want the recipients and sender to be visible. So there are subtle levels of privacy which could potentially be very useful within the space. And I think that that this here Origo, what they're looking to do could potentially end up being a fairly valuable like I said, integration of privacy into the space. So come and do your research, guys. Have a look into it and see what you think. Man in Black asks, are you a fan of Loki? Now, I have looked at Loki, Man in Black. I do remember looking at it in the previous Loki network. I assume this is the one that you mean. I remember looking at it at the time, and I'll tell you why I found it, and this is a ridiculous reason, but I'm a bit of a Marvel fan, and I was looking at the Thor coin at the time, and I think I was speaking to a colleague, and they said, "Oh, I've seen one that's called Loki," and it just pulled my attention because of that, and I looked at it, but I don't think I ever took a deep dive into it. So I'd have to do some reading into what these guys do and who they are to give you my honest opinion. But let's just have a look on the website immediately and see what these guys have got to say for themselves. Trade and communicate with absolute freedom. Look at private tools that enable untraceable, secure transactions and anonymous communication. So immediately, I would say that they're touching on good things, but I just personally, there are lots of projects that claim to be able to do things like this and are aiming to do these sorts of things. And I just think that you can't have all lots of players in one space. I mean, um, I've even seen one someone's trying to launch recently called the Black Onion Network, or I don't know, something like that. He was trying to shill it to me the other day. But it's exactly the same thing. He was saying he wanted to, make Tor transactions available on the blockchain. I don't know, some privacy based Tor stuff. And I'm not saying that they won't achieve it, but I think once the regulations really start to get applied, in my opinion, these are the sort of things that are going to get really hit hard. And what is it that makes them different? Have they got some technology? I mean, I'd have to read in to learn. For example, some use the dandelion. You know, Wimble's becoming more popular. The dandelion coding is very complex, and it's quite. But you'll hear people who write code saying it's actually quite beautiful the way it works. It's very clever, and they call it dandelion. I mean, it's something to do with the way. So basically, if you've ever seen a dandelion, they fly off in the wind, and all their seeds disperse. And you'd never be able to track the original location of the dandelion because all the seeds are dispersed over a large area. And essentially, that's what they're likening that analogy to how this covers transactions. But this is it. We need to look into what the technology is that makes them different and more likely to succeed than another project. Manabak, I had the same feeling, to be honest. When I first saw it, I was very intrigued, but it's so hard to break through with small community-led, low-funded projects. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like you said there, it's also, I mean, it's good to see here that they're trading on KuCoin, but they could have paid listing fees on KuCoin. What you need it for real, like Link. So let's link it back to something different. But Link is getting partnered with big globally known brands, right? Forging partnerships with big globally known brands. Can you ever imagine any big global brand coming out and supporting a currency which essentially is untraceable? I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong. I can't really. I don't believe that could happen because essentially the problems. Listen, we all know the red flags that get people talk about when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and you know that it's people who don't understand anything about cryptocurrency because they always say, "Oh, Bitcoin, that's only used by drug dealers online and terrorists and stuff," and they just don't understand cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is the most transparent currency essentially ever. It is there. If you want to learn about the ledger, you can go in and you can find out what you want to find out, right? Um, and but that aside, this sort of project is going to raise all of those red flags again. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine Microsoft saying, "Let's get on board with these guys," in case the regulators turned around and went, "Well, hold on a minute. This company have got billions of volume per day. I'm talking about Loki here, potentially billions of dollars of volume daily, but we don't know who's sending it, where they're sending it, where it's coming from." I just think there's too many regulatory hurdles at the minute. That doesn't mean that it won't change in the future, but for me at the moment, I think that the privacy coins and are going to have a bit of a hard time jumping the hurdles. Interesting. I'll check out Dandelion more. Sounds cool. Yeah, give it a look. I'm relatively confident that it is in the Mimblewimble implementation. So if you type into Google Mimblewimble, Mimblewimble Dandelion, I think you'll find it. Of course, other search browsers are available, of course. But yeah, if you check that out, it's quite interesting. And like I said, the coders think it's a very nice implementation and potentially a very good solution to the problem. Okay, all right. So, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for today as we are approaching an hour long. I didn't think we were going to make an hour today, but thank you very much for staying tuned in for the duration. If you did, if you're watching this back later again, please give me a like and a sub if you can. That's going to help. Join our Telegram chat group because I'm sure you'll find something of use in there for yourselves. And yeah, until next time, guys. See you later. Bye.